What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with a full review for you of the Windows Phone 7 powered Samsung Focus. This is arguably AT&T's flagship Windows Phone 7 and may very well be the flagship Windows Phone 7 device worldwide. So today, being launch day, November 8th, I thought it would be a perfect time to share with you my opinions on the phone. Let's go ahead and get started. So before we get into operating system nuances and what the phone can do or not do, let's talk about call quality. Call quality on the Samsung Focus, very similar to what we've seen on the Galaxy S lines of phone, is outstanding. Call quality is extremely clear. In my typical 20 call test, I experienced no drop calls and I was able to maintain a very strong signal strength wherever I was. Speakerphone on the back of this guy, while looking rather minuscule, was actually quite loud, and in my opinion delivered better speakerphone sound than the HTC Surround, which is meant for, obviously, speakerphone use. So from a phone standpoint, you are not going to go wrong with the Samsung Focus. In fact, you even go as far to say this is one of the best sounding AT&T phones that I've used. And I did not experience any sort of dropped call, nor did I have any sort of death grip signal degradation issues. Alright, so let me refresh you about the specs of this guy and what you can expect when you pick it up. It's available today for $199.99 on a 2-year contract. It's got a 4-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 480 by 800. And what Super AMOLED means, you might sort of hear it here and there. It's the touch mechanism actually used for the capacitive screen. It doesn't sit on top of the glass, it's actually integrated into the glass. And that translates into darker blacks, richer colors, and better visibility in direct sunlight. It's also going to mean you're going to get a little bit of almost a bluish hue, though, on the device. So if you look at a Super AMOLED screen versus a non-Super AMOLED screen, you will see just a hint of color when you're looking at images. And let me go ahead and show you just very quickly what that looks like. It has not been enough to sort of steer me wrong from a Super AMOLED screen. I think they absolutely look gorgeous. But you are going to get a bit of a hue. So let me go and open up the web browser here. And you can see we've got Techno Buffalo up and queued. If you go ahead and move these two over here, you can see the screen definitely has a little bit of a hue and color to it despite the difference of brightnesses. So just keep that in mind, but Super AMOLED is really a big selling point of the phone, as well it should be. It does have the usual proximity sensor and light sensors built in. It's got a 1500 milliamp hour battery, good for about 6.5 hours of talk time and 300 hours of standby time. I was not overwhelmed with battery usage on here. I'm a pretty heavy user on the phone. By the end of the day, I was running to an outlet. So I'd say that 6.5 hours of talk time is probably a little more liberal than it should be. You're going to want to manage your usage whether or not you're using push, or what sort of email that you're doing. All these things, and I talked about this when I did the overview of the operating system, they're all live tiles. They're pulling in sort of information in the background, which can be, and is a drain on battery. It's got a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, 512 megabytes of RAM, and 1024 megabytes of ROM. It has on the back a 5 megapixel camera with autofocus and LED flash, unlike its Galaxy S brethren. The camera on the back can shoot full HD video at 1280 by 720, more commonly known as 720p, and it can do that at 23 frames per second. And becoming more increasingly common in mobile devices, this guy has 802.11 and Wi-Fi to sit along with its B and G. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Samsung Focus. There's been a lot of talk about this just being a Windows Phone 7 version of the Galaxy S. And that is both true and not true, and a lot of emails and questions on people have been describing this as. The Galaxy S line of series of phones are using a Hummingbird processor, which is developed by Samsung, also very similar to what's found in the Apple products. This, however, is using a Snapdragon processor and does have on the back an LED flash that the Galaxy S line of phones do not. Those are the big differences. You still have the same capacitive buttons at the bottom, obviously operating system, and that gorgeous 4-inch Super AMOLED screen. Alright, so let's talk about this, and I'm going to try and make this less of a review of the operating system again, like I've done with the HTC Surround and my Windows Phone 7 overview. Talk about the whole phone itself as a package. First, I will say I love the thinness and I love the 4-inch screen on this device. I really actually miss, when I went back to the iPhone, having that bit of larger screen real estate. I used this phone as my daily driver for almost 2.5 weeks, and I gotta say, I was very, very, very impressed. If you're looking to get a new phone right now and you happen to be on AT&T, whether you have your heart set on a Galaxy S, your heart set on an iPhone, a Palm Pre, whatever it might be, you owe it to yourself to go at least look at Windows Phone 7. And specifically the Samsung Focus, which out of all the phones I've tested for AT&T running Windows Phone 7, Samsung Focus is definitely the best. It manages speed, I think, efficiently. It did the best job of battery life, even though it wasn't outstanding. The Super AMOLED screen was absolutely gorgeous, and that sort of the kind of combination of looks and style really made it scream out to me. The biggest problem I think that the Focus is going to be fighting is Microsoft itself. People, including me, have a very hard time separating Microsoft, what they've done in the past and their preconceived notions, from the operating system as a whole and the phone as a whole, and they're not going to look at it because of that. This operating system is very un-Microsofty, if you can understand what that means. You don't have a start menu, you don't sort of have that compartmentalized system that we've seen in Windows Mobile 6 and 6.5 and previous generations before that. This is a very sleek, modern operating system. Now, it is missing some few key features. Supposedly will be coming. Cut, copy, and paste is the most glaring, although at the developers' comments we did see an example of cut, copy, and paste working at Windows Phone 7, so supposedly that will be coming towards the beginning of the year. There is no Flash support, and currently we don't have any HTML5 support, which is a shame because this phone features an outstanding browser. In all the Windows Phone 7s that I've tested, the browser reacted very, very quickly in multi-touch gestures. However, the Samsung Focus reacted even quicker than those. This has the fastest sort of pinch-to-zoom recognition I have seen on any device, and that includes iPhone, iPad, and all of the Android devices that I've tested. This is a very full-featured, minus those extension, web browser that you're really going to have a nice time using. It's very fast, it works really well, and I was very pleased with the browsing experience. And I'm very demanding on my mobile browser. I do a lot of work on it, and it was very, very easy to adapt to Windows Phone 7 as my daily driver. Now, there's been a lot of talk, too, about whether or not this device, the operating system in particular, doesn't support multitasking. It supports smart multitasking, sort of what Apple did when they first launched the iPhone. So you can play music in the background, the native applications can run in the background, but right now third-party applications cannot, something to keep in mind. And speaking of third-party applications, I know I'm getting a bit into the operating system, maybe more than I would have liked. There is a significant amount of developer support now growing in the marketplace. So if you're concerned about apps and things that you use quite a bit, don't worry. You have Netflix, Twitter, all sort of the big ones, Flickster that you might use, are all here, and more are coming on a daily basis. Samsung has done a nice job with their sort of Samsung Hub. This is the way that you can customize Windows Phone 7. The developers are limited to what they can do from the home screen, but they can make their own hub, essentially this live tile. And Samsung has put sort of their own little skins in it here. So you can go ahead and view some weather, you can check out news, stocks if you'd like, and go back to weather. And Samsung has promised more and more features are going to be added to this hub as we move along. Overall, I've been very impressed with the build quality of the phone. Camera was relatively unimpressive, 5-megapixel camera, exactly what you'd expect from a 5-megapixel camera. Very blah. The flash sort of washed out some images, but it worked. You know, if you're out at a party, you want to show a picture to your friends, it's definitely going to get the job done for you. So if you are in the market for a new phone right now, definitely check out the Samsung Focus. I really recommend it. You guys know me, I'm an Apple guy, but I've really enjoyed Windows Phone 7 as a whole. I think it's got a lot of potential in the marketplace. Right now, it's a very immature operating system. It's missing key features its competitors have, Android and iOS. I think it's going to mature. I think these devices will be able to support those new and updated versions, and hopefully the carriers will push them out. But I think in 1 to 2 years, we're looking at an operating system that really is going to compete for significant market share. So owe it yourself, go check it out. On a 1 to 5 scale here, I give this phone a very, very, very solid 4. Missing out on that extra 1 because the operating system is missing key features. From a phone hardware standpoint, this guy is screaming fast and has a beautiful, beautiful screen. And I really think it would make a nice addition to anyone's pocket. So if you guys have any Windows Phone 7 questions, let me know. I am John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.